Marie from Funding for Good, and today we're going to just chat a little bit about a topic that is near and dear to everyone's heart. Time is equal to money, how to put a dollar value on volunteer time. If you are like me, you've heard all your life, time is equal to money, time is equal to money, and then all of a sudden you're working in the nonprofit world, and while you do appreciate those volunteer hours and everything those generous individuals do for your organization, the heart doesn't pay the bills, right? And you're wondering, you know what, volunteer hours are great, but we also need the money. So how do we leverage volunteer hours? How do we put a time or a value on those specific hours? We're going to tackle 3 questions today. One is how to place a value on volunteer time. And let's just jump into that right now. You do not have to come up with this on your own because it is already done for you. There is a wonderful website called independentsector.org. You see it here on your screen, independentsector.org. And they have done all the work for you. So if you jump on this website, you're going to see lots of amazing resources. And we're going to kind of move on down a little bit. I'm kind of scrolling down the screen. But if you go to the sector in your state, you'll see this wonderful map of the United States. You can click, I'm here in North Carolina, so I'm going to click on that. And then I go down and I'm going to get lots of great information about the state, the number of nonprofits in my state, how many are public charities versus how many are private, how many other nonprofits. So this is going to tell you who your potential competitors are for grants and who your potential collaborators are for projects and grants as well. So whether you're in competition or collaboration, this is a great resource for you all. Then you're going to see a little bit about the economic impact, public charities, things like that. So this is all great information. I'm not going to read through this for you today, but I wanted you to see that it's here. We're going to scroll back one page and we're going to keep going. And you're going to see this green tab that says value of volunteer time here on the bottom right. And you're going to click that, see the value. You will notice here the first screen is going to give you the general volunteer estimated national value of each volunteer hour is currently set at $25.43. So this is a general volunteer, someone who's walking in, helping you mop, sweep, do administrative work, whatever that may be. $25.43 is the national rate for volunteer hours worth right now. Keep in mind that volunteer hours can be calculated by 2 different things. One is the general volunteer hour, which is someone who's just coming in doing those general work. That's going to be calculated using statistics information on this page. Then there are those who come to your organization and share their professional skill sets with you. Those are going to be specialized or skilled labor. So for example, if a web designer from your community, an individual who does that professionally, volunteers to put your nonprofit's website together for you, you are not going to calculate those volunteer hours as a contribution of $25.43 per hour. You would use whatever fair market value that professional charges in their day-to-day work. So if their average rate is $60 per hour, that is the value of that volunteer's time. This is very important because as you go to leverage other community resources, you're going to want to know this information. So $25.43 is the national average right now. And then you can click on the state. This used to be something you could click on and it would come automatically up. Now Independent Sector is trying to get members as far as just information to put on their mailing list. There's no fee associated with it, but you will put in your email, your first name, last name, organization, and submit that information. Once you do that, this is the page that's going to pop up. You are going to see every single state, the last decade essentially of the value of the dollar. So if you're in Alabama in 2001, the volunteer rate was valued at $12.95. Today, that's $22.65. So you can see that progression of the value of a volunteer hour. So this should answer your question, how much is a volunteer hour worth in my organization? First, ask the question, is this a general volunteer or is this a professional in the community using their skill set to offer a service to the organization? And that's how you will determine that. Now, why is this data important? This data is extremely important because you are going to be creating budgets for your organization. Your organization should have an operational budget, programmatic budgets, and all of those require different resources such as personnel, materials, technology. But that one that says personnel is really important because anytime you don't have a volunteer stepping up to do a task, you would need to be paying a staff member that equivalent time to do that work. So if you know that you have someone that that comes to your organization to do landscaping or to come and do office cleaning every single week, and um, they contribute, let's just say 10 hours a week, and you have 52 weeks out of the year, that is 520 hours of work. If you multiply that right now just by the national wage, I'm going to do that since you're all in different states. That is an in-kind contribution of $13,223.60. This means that your organization would have to fork over $13,223.60 to pay for that work to be done if it were not for the generosity of this volunteer. This is important for several things. One, you need to be able to reflect your true operating budget, what it costs to keep the wheels turning, the doors open, the lights on in your organization. And two, you need to know the value of what your volunteers are bringing so that you can thank them, you can share that information with the community, and you can leverage other interest and dollars for your cause. So that brings us to the third topic today. Now that we know how much a volunteer hour is worth, why is it important in calculating the budget, we want to know how we can share that information so it leverages dollars and interest in the organization. Lots of different ways to do this. Number one, if you're writing a grant that asks for matches, you may be allowed to use in-kind contributions as the match for the grant. Some will request dollar for dollar, but many foundations will ask you to do an in-kind or just a match for their dollars to show that you have community support. So if you get a $10,000 grant and they ask you to match it using resources or any other match, you've already matched it with that one volunteer because you have $13,000 and change worth of volunteer time. So one, it's very helpful for matching grants. Two, it's very helpful to show potential donors that you have the support of your board, that you have the support of your community. So you might want to use this little calculation to figure out what the value is of your board hours. Now, this would not be your regular board meetings, but any hours that board members contribute outside of official governing duties. So that would be the time they're on site working with programs, helping out in the office. You can say our board members collectively contributed X number of hours this past year. That does not take away from the fact that 100% of board members should be giving. If that is your question, we have a whole nother blog on that. But it does show the support of your board. You can share this information in your newsletters and say, shout out to our board who have served X number of hours and saved our organization X dollars based on these rates. You can do that for your volunteers. You can use this in grant applications, in prospective conversations with local businesses when you want to leverage their workers. Local banks will allow their workers to come out for 4, sometimes 6 hours a month, and they will pay those workers to come out and work with your organization. But those are dollars you are not paying. So you can share with them, how many hours do you need? What is the value? What dollar amount does that save your organization? And many times they're willing to step up to the plate to help you do that. So hopefully this resource is helpful for you today. Once again, you will end up with this wonderful spreadsheet. If you have other questions about this topic, jump over to Funding for Good's homepage. You will see fundingforgood.org. Go to this wonderful search bar that we have. It says briefly unavailable for scheduled maintenance. Well, that would be my luck today. Let me go back here for a second. All right, here we are. We're backing up and running. So search, we are going to put volunteer in here. This search bar will take you to all of our free resources, some paid, but most of these are going to be free resources. All of our blogs are free. You will also see some upcoming events about some of these topics through small business centers and other locations that are free or very reduced rates. Volunteer tracking made easy, volunteer retention, 3 strategies. Why is volunteering so hard? A couple things, top 5 reasons you should be tracking volunteer hours. These all go hand in hand. So you can use that information to create more volunteer management systems and tracking systems. You might also use that for the budget in here. Maybe you're looking at how to budget and use the volunteer hours in that. If you go to our free stuff, you're going to see lots of budget templates. So there's a budget template there. It's under the free stuff. You'll see the tab up here on the top of the page, but you can also just search and put in the word budget and find blogs, vlogs, and free templates for the budgeting process. So that's just it in a nutshell. Time equals money, how to put value on a volunteer hour, on volunteers' time. Hopefully this was helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to post on Funding for Good's Facebook page, pop us a message, or jump online and schedule a free strategy call with our team. Have a great day.